Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Chonis. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. Remember, you guys can find me on Twitter. I am at Big Chonis. These are my thoughts and opinions. Do your own research. I am not a financial analyst. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here. We've been watching this bear channel for several days now. We've been seeing ever since we topped off up here around 68.40. We tried it again with this nasty bear trap wick we talked about a couple days ago. And once that failed to put in a higher high, higher low there, or sorry, lower high there, we've basically been falling ever since. And we broke out of our bear channel. We're now in our we broke out of our bull channel. I get my bulls and bears confused sometimes. Bear with me, people. And we're now basically in our bear channel here and continuing to find, some pretty stiff resistance here. So let's take a look here. Give me 1 second here. There we go. So let's take a look here and basically see that we are consistently being rejected now by our middle trend support line here of our bear channel, and that basically has brought us this pretty nasty wick here. Now we did just bottom out. It looks like 68. It looks like 60.80 or so, and we're having a little bounce here. I think a lot of the day people were expecting kind of one more little dip. I don't know if this is it yet. I mean, on a low time frame here, remember we're on the 15 minute. I'm just going to fix this a little bit here. We have, it could be a bottom hammer. It could be just another hanging man where we just lose our basically momentum from this here. We saw something very similar over here. Every time these long wicks get bought up, this overall little push seems to die out. And this could be another example of that. A lot of this also has to go with the volume. Let me add my volume here. Excuse me for just a moment here. And because I keep talking about the volume, because for Bitcoin to keep moving forward here, we really need to add a lot of money flow. And what seems to be the case here is we keep seeing, any buying which we have here being sold off into. So anybody who was taking a little long in this area here currently has basically been on the wrong end of that trade. So we're basically seeing this continuation of this pattern here, and this channel's been pretty strong, people. I mean, we have not been able to break out of this here for several days. Let me go out to back to 1 hour here. And so this is what we're looking for. We're looking for a break of our middle channel resistance here that has acted so strong during the past, at least 24 hours here. That's the goal. Then we can basically start to test this upper channel resistance in the high 6200s. And then if we could potentially break through that, then we can talk about higher areas here. A bounce like that would represent a pretty distinct change from what we've been seeing here. To get back up here, we basically have to redo all the hard work that Bitcoin put in this area, to get us up there. You see how quickly we were able to give so much of that progress back. It took us several days, a full week to get up here, and 3 or 4 days to give it all back and then some. So we're seeing this wick on the hourly here. We have about 12 minutes to go on the hourly. The longer this wick can be, the more bullish it can look, but it can fail pretty quickly, and that could lead to a little further downside. So we'll wait and see. Remember, we're almost at the candle close for the entire day here. So, the bulls are trying to put in a little better ending to the day because they want to put a little better looking candle than otherwise there would be, and basically use some of that momentum to go into tomorrow's price action, which will start in about 12 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on that here. So the RSI, and I'm kind of let's look at the 4 hour because I think we're getting a little more of a broader perspective here. So, we've been watching this, there we go, this trend line here that basically from back where we kind of bottomed out in June there, and let's widen this out here. We did break it, bounce it, break it, but more or less it held. We definitely touched it here on the dot. And then once we broke that, you want the price, you want the RSI to come back up and try and retest that. And currently we've had just a weak bounce from that. That's another bearish sign there, that even in our bounces, we're just not getting that kind of bullish retest of this line. And now this line of recent support, which is now going to be very strong resistance, is going to be that much harder for this to basically push up here. We need a lot of money flow, a big turnaround in bullish momentum to get this to higher, and basically to get back into a more healthier RSI area where that would induce more money because it would be a little more of a bullish chart. And that's kind of what you're looking for in that. So we'll go back to our hourly here once again. I kind of see, we got a little candle coming here. So this is what we were looking for to see if we could get a nice ending to today's candle. We have a little money flow. I'm kind of remove my auto here so we can see the volume bar. So we have volume coming in. Remember, we only have about 10 minutes left in the hour. So, this candle is better than recent candles in terms of it being green. But look, I want to see if we can get up here, how we're going to test this resistance. And we've seen other candles like this completely fall apart at the same time too. So we have to keep an eye on that, we've basically seen Bitcoin do these kind of fake and bake several times here, and we've been burned, or at least some people have been burned because of that. So a touch of this line could be a top off for this current candle. We'll just have to wait and see. So we're going to see how much money flow can be brought into Bitcoin right now and see if we can kind of induce some sort of bullish turnaround that we've been basically watching throughout the day here. So can this translate to other coins and alts? It sure can. Let's take a look at our longs and shorts and get a sense if they're moving anywhere. So we've been watching our Bitcoin shorts, and this is going to give us a good feeling about where the money flow is currently going into Bitcoin here. So we have our basically shorts. We have clearly some sort of major cup and a handle brewing here. We had this descending falling wedge where we were putting in lower highs and putting in lower lows. We broke bullish out of it, and that basically has popped us higher. And now where it seems like the shorts are trying to slowly move higher here. Very methodically so far, nothing really has changed. We are still in this kind of upward rising, I wouldn't call it a wedge yet because it really doesn't feel like it's more of a parallel line here. So we're going to see if this becomes, more strong. And basically, if this were to rise, that basically is a bearish signal for Bitcoin. If this were to fall and retest this line again, there would be some bullishness in the market, and basically would see that in the short contracts. So look at our longs here. Now, I've added a couple more lines here to our longs just to get a sense of what I see here. We've been following this channel for quite some time. The top has acted as a lot of resistance a couple times here, and then once again, boom, boom, we keep hitting this resistance line. And now I see we're almost creating some sort of ascending wedge here, where we kind of bounce around here, and I would not be surprised if a longs rose to retest, in this cluster for a third time potentially, some sort of a potential try for another breakout. This line of resistance has been very strong, so we know consistently where the longs have been topping off. This is that zone that basically it's stuck into. So until the longs decide to go much higher here, that's the more bullishness that you would kind of want to see for Bitcoin. This has been a very strong and very tight range here. Remember, if the shorts rise, then the longs would basically break bearish in this chart. So these are basically indicators and triggers that I like to watch to get somewhat of a sense of market sentiment, and this also is a great driver in terms of a lot of our moves we've seen recently. When certain sides are too overly extended, when the shorts, get too overly extended, like they were up here, and then basically you had a short squeeze where a decent amount of money can push the prices higher, and all these people that were short are basically forced to cover. So they basically put more money into long positions, and you create very nice green candles that way. That's exactly what we had seen back in April. So for that situation to really happen again, this shorts here has to get much higher. So I don't really see that as being any kind of catalyst yet. Shorts being a little too bullish, a little too out of whack yet, nor do I see it in the longs being a little too, this Bitcoin Cash, don't want that. Nor do I see it in the longs as being too overextended yet. But if this breaks and continues to break, overall, that would be a very bearish sign, bearish sentiment kind of seems like as long as we can hold all this above 6,000, this little trend here can continue, and this basically could go all through the rest of July here. So we're watching this continue to run. That basically somewhere around the end of July we could hit some sort of an apex here, where either we could bust out bullish or break down and confirm a continued bearish sentiment here. So let's recheck Bitcoin. We're live. Thank you everybody for joining me here in the chat. Let's take a peek here. Hello, everybody. Yeah, nice. 70 people. All right. Good to have you, folks. Good to have you. So, going back to Bitcoin here, let's see how our channel is acting in the price. Very interesting here. Very interesting here. Okay, so this is the 1 hour chart. Remember, this is the last hour of the day. The daily candle closes in 5 minutes. So this is the bulls and bears, fighting here. Look at the long wick we have on the bottom. Look at the long wick we currently have on the top. We have a nice green candle here so far. How much of this bullish move here is about to get sold into? You want to close this candle as high as possible. That's a good bullish sign there. The longer the wick on top is a bearish sign. The longer the wick on the bottom can be a bullish sign in comparison to the final body of the overall candle that we're looking at here. I'm sure if we went to a lower time frame, yeah, this has all happened in the last half hour here because we're on the half-hour chart here. So this is all basically happening currently, like the last half hour of the day. I'm a little skeptical of this. All day we're just kind of drifting sideways, slightly lower. The last half hour of the day we're just going to pump this to make the candle, make Bitcoin's daily candle, look a little better than otherwise would have. Otherwise, it would have been a really bad candle, wouldn't it have been? Let's take a look here. Let's go to a different chart. And let me quiet my volume. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. And let's go to our daily, and let's take a look at this crazy candle we're putting in here. Yeah, so, this was down here. This was pretty nasty. The last half hour, we basically gained all this wick here. So, listen, right now, I'm like, all right, maybe we have a nice wick here. Basically shows some bullish intentions. Basically shows there weren't any sellers below, 60, 80. That can mean a bullish turnaround. Otherwise, this is still a very nasty, bearish engulfing. Right now, the body of today's candle, which closes in a few minutes still, is still engulfing the slightly green candle we had yesterday. So there's nothing much more bullish in this candle. Otherwise, this nicer wick here, which we can clearly see has been pumped in the last half an hour of our lovely day here. It's gorgeous outside. I wish I was outside more today, but I was inside working on some projects. So we have our candle. This is current. This is live. This is our 30-minute candle here. Looks like they're kind of trying to close it as high as they can. Try and get a little Momo going into tomorrow's price action here. Let's take a quick look here at Bitcoin's friends. This is Litecoin. Let me pull out to our 4-hour. Been playing around with these channels here. I'm pretty sure I got this bear channel locked down. We have our resistances up here. We have our supports down here. I feel we actually broke our resistance here, and that basically induced a really nice buying opportunity where we were way too oversold, compensated with our nice little push there, and actually this was way too overbought for such a small time frame on the 4-hour. So we basically went from 74 to 80, $6, but that move in itself was pretty nice in that time frame there. And then we basically have corrected since then, and we basically have held right on the nose there. Look at that right there, like 74.47 once, twice, and then this hourly candle's wick. And then on the 4-hour here, we're putting in a nicer candle there because for the third touch, really, yeah, it was the third touch of our bottom support. The bottom support of our bear channel held. So because of that, we are seeing a push here, and our next obstacle will be our middle channel support, just a dollar or so higher. And then from there, if we keep trending upward, looking at a hair under $80. How strong is $80? right there, ish, going to be now. I mean, how many times can we break above $80 and sell off under it before people are willing to hold again once it hits $80? You know, if we are able to touch $80, how many longs will basically continue to hold? Because every time we seem to break $80 bullishly, we get sold into. Break it, sold into. Break it, sold into. Break it, sold into. Break it, hold it, just sold into, bounce, sold into. Now we can't get up to it by more than a wick. So much confidence do you have in the next time Litecoin was to break higher? Again, Bitcoin continues to run the show, so whatever Bitcoin can do, Litecoin can move. If Bitcoin can move back up to 6,500, 6,700, then yes, Litecoin can definitely break back over 80 and start, you know, testing higher areas here. We've definitely been seeing more bearishness in Litecoin in terms of how its decline has basically held. I was kind of playing around with this guy. Oh, you know what? The problem with this is it's upside down. That's better. Let's see if we can find our channel here. So I like to take the top and the bottom and then confirm it by what the middle is telling me. And this looks actually very accurate here because we see how our middle support, let me get a little closer, and let me change this red here to more of a darker red. And I'm going to do one more thing here. Let's send you to the back. That's better. That's better. Everybody can see that better now. And we basically have support held, confirm. Remember, this is the Litecoin to Bitcoin ratio here. If you're buying Litecoin basically directly with Bitcoin and not with USD. And now because of that hold, that triple hold after we broke it and tested it, remember, we rejected up here. Now we're going forward again. So this is what you want to see is a bullishness ratio change on Litecoin if we can burst out of here. And then if you basically want to see this trend change here. So basically 0.0123 is roughly about 1.2% of the actual price of Bitcoin. So you want to basically see a divergence in that where this climbs higher than the Bitcoin climbing price. And currently we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing Litecoin fall more precipitously. We're seeing any Litecoin bounces that happen tend to fade a lot quicker than Bitcoin's bounces. So, you know, we don't really need to talk about other Litecoin lower areas unless we start to break down from, you know, what was our bottom here? Somewhere around 72. You know, if we get down to like 71, we're probably going to break into the 60s. So until we get down to 73, 72, I'm not going to talk about lower Litecoin areas that could happen. Although I will mention one just to because I was actually looking at this earlier today. Litecoin put in a lower low when it bottomed, where Bitcoin put in a higher low. Where it bottomed, let me show you an example of that. What I mean. Here is Bitcoin's bottom back on 624 and Bitcoin's bottom on 629 and the low 790 and then 57.77. So the low held by $13. So we have a higher low here. But on Litecoin, we had a lower low. We basically bottomed out at 73 something, and then we bottomed out at 72 something here. So that was our kind of descending angle there. So if you draw that from here to here, and we extend that lower, there's a good chance that this line will probably be tapped if we are able to break bearish, if Litecoin does break bearish. If Litecoin breaks bearish, I think this will be one of the first areas I'd like to see kind of a little bounce on. So depending upon where on this line the price of Bitcoin could touch in the future, if it breaks bearish, is something I want to keep an eye on, as well as where this line coincides with our bear channel here that we still see. So the daily candle has officially closed. Let's take a look back on Bitcoin here. Again, this little thing here, this little, let's go to the half hour. This is 30-minute chart. Look at that. We're bearish. Actually, let's go closer. Let's go 15-minute chart. Look at that. The last, from 7:30, we had a nut bow here. We had a nice bottom hammer. Boom. What was our volume like? What was our volume like? There we go. Let's see if we can see it a little better here. There we go. So there was the dump. There was a little bit of a load up because you see along this wick here, this wick closed red, but a lot of this wick was bought up. So this was actually a very bullish wick on the 15-minute, and that was able to set up this candle here, which was mostly all buying. The last 15 minutes, we have a smaller wick on top comparatively. So this is still a little nice bullish bounce here. And so far, we haven't dumped into it like we had seen on this one, where we had that nice bullish run. And then within that 15-minute time period, we gave most of that back, and that was basically our kind of bull trap top off, and then what's led to all this lovely downside action here. So we're going to see if this candle can basically create some sort of a turnaround. Our next resistance area is right around 62.80, which corresponds, I feel, with these bottom wicks here that had acted as previous support until they got broken here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 areas here where we basically touch 62.80. So if we can get through 62.80, then 60. Go a little higher here. I'd basically say right there, 64. Yeah, basically 62.80 should allow us, it hold, should allow us to retest 64, and then onward from there. If this can be a bullish break, if we fail here, and again, the volume of the follow-up, remember, we just started this. This is on the 15 minutes. So the first, 6-7 minutes of this 15-minute candle, volume-wise, is very low. Not what you want for continuation, unless we're basically seeing no selling here. So low volume can be okay if the price stays stable. If the price keeps dropping and the volume's low, that's not a good sign there. So the price can stay up here, and the volume can be low, and that basically shows the selling is dried up. But right now, we're just not seeing a little more buying volume. That's kind of what you need to go higher. Maybe we have to consolidate from this little, $150, $170 move here we had at the end of the daily candle there. Otherwise, we have to face facts that there's still a decent amount of bearishness in the market. Yesterday's candle was pretty nasty. This little wick has definitely bought it some time, bought the bulls some time here. Maybe they can build on this wick here of a candle, move higher. But every time they want to try and do that, the resistance just gets more fierce and more fierce. So keep an eye on that. I do want to finish up on Litecoin real quickly here. Actually, let's go and take a look at Ethereum. That's what I want to do. So we're going to look at our hour chart here. And yeah, this is a very weird one here, because I feel we basically broke we broke bearish up here, obviously, where we topped off. We were not able to get over 500, and that's another thing you have to ask yourself: when's the next time Ethereum's going to be over 500? I mean, right now, if you want to buy Ethereum, you can buy it for $430 right now. So if it got back over $500, it just feels like the longer we gel in this area, the harder the higher areas will become, because these areas feel like more of a price area. And then the lower they get, those will feel more of bargains that can be waited for by people that just want to buy lower. So, these are important things that I will keep watching, because we're still seeing more bearishness in Ethereum. I almost feel like it had the biggest sell-off after this nice climb here. It has to be acknowledged. I'm pretty confident with this channel here. I guess it could go a little lower. I'm trying to figure out the right angle, and it's a little tricky because it broke so bearish so quickly here. I still feel like the price action, maybe that's a little better there. That could be something like that. But I still feel the price action is currently out of the bear channel as a whole. So we're kind of almost in this newer bear channel here, where a bullish move on Ethereum would basically just to get back into our bear channel and try and test this middle resistance line upper and so on. But again, Bitcoin still rolls the show. One last peek here after I call it a little night there. maybe I have time to do a couple alts. Let's see here. I think I'll just stick with the big three for tonight. I'm a little hoarse right now. My throat's a little sore. So we'll just take one more look here. You know, we're looking for more bullish volume. We're looking for more buying power after this wick here, and we're just not seeing it yet. So we'll keep an eye on that. I do want to look at the RSI real quick just to get a sense of where we are here. And yeah, we keep finding resistance again on the 1 hour here, right in this zone here. Boom, 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 boom. We keep hitting resistance in this zone, in this zone. So you break out of here and you hold. Now we have a nice bullish, story to tell. If you can't get past, 50s on the 1 hour RSI here, this is bullish hammering, just preventing the price to go higher. And that still coincides with our declining bull volume. And it'd be hard to see if this can basically hold up and move higher, or does this move get sold into. So probably a lot more hours, some sideways action here. I don't know. Let's see what the Bollingers. Yeah, the Bollingers are still pretty tight here. That move actually helped the Bollingers get a little tighter. So these will get very tight and probably predict our next move. Our 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours are still pretty wide as well. So a good bullish move on our 4 hour will put us back to about 63.50. Our lower Bollinger is still holding over 6,000. That's where I'm going to leave it tonight, folks. Thank you very much for joining me. Remember, you guys can find me on Chonis Trading. If you did like this video, please give me a check thumbs up. I appreciate the follow, and we will stay in touch.